Interesting. I thought AI is hallucinating all the time, but sometimes seems to be quite accurate. So let's see how we can fulfill that things and deliver on commitment or on promises. Oops. Yeah, maybe the first message is I finished my slides before entering the room today. Yeah, and maybe another question, like we saw who is using Subbuild, who is used CAP already from the audience? Okay, that's good. Yeah, so as Ole introduced, CAP is growing in different dimensions, and this is exactly the slides I showed last year. The key message, we are growing in relevance, adoption, feature set, and scope. Scope is, for example, if you remember this world domination picture, we add the Khaleesi satellites around CAP with the plugins, with Max team in Munich, doing that all now in time and in style. Yeah, the story last year was if we have increasing adoption, increasing feature set, increasing scope, it means also support load increases. And since we cannot expect to grow too fast and too much, also wouldn't help much, the idea was we have to invest in quality so we get less tickets, so the curve stays flat. Simple math. Yeah, and this is looking at how we did. Oh, I can use that one, right? Yeah. Yeah, actually, for Node.js, we had to do quite some cleanup, as I introduced 2 years back. Node.js grew very fast in the beginning as a stack, and always when you grow and deliver new features very fast, we all know we have to get some technical debt under control later on. And this is what we did, starting with CDS 7 2 years ago. And we shipped the new SQLite and Postgres services. Later, the HANA service was added in CDS 8. And you were still able to flip back to the old one, but now we removed all the legacy stuff with CDS 9, which means there is no fallback to the old things. You have to use the new ones. Another check, show of hands, who already uses CDS 9? Well, quite some. Did you encounter any problems? Yeah, so quickly showing you, doesn't work again. I have to always somehow stop the presentation. Now you see that. Yeah, if we use that tool here, NPM size, you can download it from NPM. It calculates the transient size or the full bundle size of, in that case, CDS 8 compared to CDS 9 and the current compiler. So we see it reduced by a factor of roughly 2, and 3.5 out of these 5.5 is the compiler. So actually CDS shrank by 60% lines of code. Maybe to give you some relation, if we compare that to some other packages like Express or Swagger, the Swagger runtime actually, or better SQLite, you see our 2 megabyte in CDS are quite ridiculously small, right? What is that worth? When you think about open sourcing stuff, then you don't want to open source a monster. When you think about function as a service or serverless, you have to think about cold start times. And this is related to your bundle sizes. So we have an eye on that constantly. And yeah, that's very good that we achieved this improvement. Sorry for that, but yeah, even more that left-hand side, right-hand side down, less TD stands for less technical debt. All these 60% lines of code gone are now free of any errors because they're gone, right? And this is what technical debt is about. You always have to pile up some technical debt because that's real life. If you pay it back and you have it under control, then it's good. If you don't pay it back, then you die in 2 years' time. So this is why we did that. And yeah, it was mostly done behind the scenes, assumed you didn't have any problems with adopting CDS 9. And the good news is, and now we are done with the quality renovation of Node.js for now. So expect more of these renovations, but this is already a best practice. We try to do that without disrupting you all the time. And we don't do a bad practice for these kind of things, which is in 2 years' time, we announce the big redesign in the sky and the complete new, complete disruptive version would be shipped. No, we don't want to do that. CAP tries to be compatible. Yeah, maybe regarding size, do you know this one? What is the heaviest objects in the universe? And then you'll likely know this one as well, right? Yeah, so watch your size in Node modules packages. Now, also last year in the Outlook, I shared that we will be working on things like Khaleesi++, I called it, so additional things will be integrated, so BTP services to CAP. And this is exactly what we did here with Advanced Event Mesh. We delivered another plugin that is available to customers, quite fresh. Some customers already adopted it as pilots. And in addition, the colleagues from the Event Hub team finalized, also with our help, the integration of that one. Unfortunately, I don't even understand completely why. That Event Hub usage is, for some cases, restricted to internal usages. So, for example, you can build a CAP application that consumes S4 events via Event Hub, but you can't publish events, but the internal ones can. So if you want to change this, please address that to our product management, then maybe we get it. Technically, there is no difference, of course. Yeah, the other one was the integration to S4HANA via ABAP RFC, and that relates to what Ole introduced and the survey. Please tell us if you use it and if you're happy or if you're not happy. Because if we don't get feedback on something that we developed, we might design 1 or 2 years down to just de-invest. Because everything has to have a return on investment. So let us know if you use it, please. This is really serious, this survey that Ole introduced, and we will do more of that. Yeah, and Analytics Cloud, we integrated now embedded analytics, also the Khaleesi style. That is, as a pilot, first available internally and later on will become available externally as well. Now, very quick look at how this advanced event mesh or the Event Hub looks like. Well, the answer is no difference, because you know CAP is about you just tell us what you want. Can you read that, by the way? So if you do messaging, you declare an event payload in CDS without caring about will it be delivered via Kafka, Redis, Event Hub, Advanced Event Mesh, etc. Then you would emit it via a one-liner in Node.js looking like that. And a consumption would be also very similar. And in all cases, everything else handled behind the scenes. So what you as a developer need to know about Advanced Event Mesh is generally nothing, because we do this in the protocol agnostic and program agnostic way, including local mocks. This is the keyword we will see in this presentation maybe a few times. It all looks like as if it is local, and it even is local with the mocks. Yeah, CAP level S4 integration, very similar. What we do is also the Kalesi style. There's something that is not CAP, like S4 or even ECC, having BAPIs and function modules and RFC. So what we do is we read out the BAPI definition and translate it into a CDS model. So it looks from now on as if it was a CAP service. And then we use it as if it was a CAP service and as if it was local. So the same principle applies. Even your code could looks very similar to whether you call it a no data service or not. Now, coming to the key part of the keynote is not what we did from last year to now, but what we are doing right now. And this is really the kitchen sink. It's not dry, it's still wet. It's actually still being washed. And I don't even promise that we will deliver the things you see, but likely we do. And we wanted to share that with you. And this is also to let you know, our major release didn't have a lot of new features announced, but actually TreeView was in, but that we see here. But you should be rewarded for the pain of the adoption of the new releases, the major releases. It is like the foundation for us to do new things faster. And this is exactly what we see when we list this, or what we saw in CAP team. We were very fast tapping into these different things that I list now. And it looks like we are in harvesting phase now. Things are very well implemented now, and the design turned out to be quite good. Now TreeViews, quick demo on that. Want to open the samples, I think. No, the S. Yeah, the samples. So this is CAP samples that you can download, and in there, as you know, it's a monorepo. Oops, sorry, again. Yeah, in there we have this one project, the Fiori project, which I know has a tree view in there. So let's just quickly jump into that. And this exactly, yeah, maybe starting with, so we have an admin service which exposes genres, and the genres are defined like that. By the way, here in editor, please use the editor. Just hover with a command pressed in that on a MacBook, and you see the definition, or you can quickly jump to the definition also. Yeah, so we see genres is a simple entity having IDs and names, which is inherited here from code list, and it has a recursive up parent association, so means it is a recursive definition. Now, what we do here is we add the necessary Fiori annotation to tell Fiori about that. Then Fiori can render a tree view, and we can serve that out of the box. You don't need to do anything in addition. So these two lines are the essence. We tell Fiori about which one is the parent association within genre, and which node property to use, which is usually the primary key of the target of this parent association. And then we have to tell Fiori, actually this is always the same, even for even different entities. We need to tell Fiori what are some helper properties that Fiori needs, and HANA, by the way, to do that. Now, let's run that thing. Yeah, that's all we had to change, just these lines here, to turn a plain flat list of genres into a tree view of genres as we see it here. And you can see I can expand things. There is the expand all and collapse all of Fiori. And I can also search, and this works out of the box. And people will show in the session on the Fiori tree views that we can also move things around in a hierarchy and modify the hierarchy, going down on that. A last thing, when I saw this, you may know me, whenever I need to tell something like, hey, the thing that you expect for limited descendant count is called limited descendant count, right? And the distance from root is called distance from root. And then please don't sort and don't filter on these fields. Sounds like it's always the same, and actually it is. So I gave this one a try, and I want to show this to you as well. So what if, no, let's stay here. What if we can just get rid of that and instead just tell CAP what you mean? I want that to be served as a hierarchy entity. And it's actually reloaded already, and it doesn't work. Oh. I broke something likely, right? It worked this morning, so believe me. Yeah, it works. And yeah, the fun thing is, if you want to see how we implemented that and will implement that, it's actually implemented right in this example. And this is also a best practice that I wanted to share. Whenever we develop something new in the framework, we usually do that by doing it in an application, in a pilot application. And then we pull it out of that, maybe in a plugin or maybe even in the core. And what you see here is like a plugin. I use CDS, I register for a certain event whenever a season model gets compiled for runtime, and then I search for this hierarchy annotation and just add this bunch of annotation that are anyways clear. So really, I think, DJ, I remembered you telling me that, you know, Daniel, sometimes CAP for you is like a Dwim machine. It's a do what I mean, right? And this is exactly, since I heard that, I always want to prove that this is true. Okay, that was this one, the tree views. Need to jump back to the right place. Was here. Yeah, that's a pity. Let me try again. Oh, I think it works if I do it like that. Yeah, good, better. Yeah, next one is dynamic constraints and state transition flows. Similar in the dynamic constraint, I think that was in the S-Flight application. Flight, yeah. And yeah, we did something about field control. Yeah, maybe also show you the editor thing. You know, there's this go-to symbol in Workspace built into VS Code. Use it. Use our editor and use these features. I didn't know about this unless the developer of the editor told me. What you can do is something like find all entities, just start ent blah, blah, and then a colon. And then you see all the entities in this project, or all the elements, and then we see all the elements. And I know there was something about field control. Here it is. So here we are at the right place where field control is, and then use another function like find all references, also built into VS Code and supported by the editor. And here we see all these references to this field control, including references in annotations. Now, as we saw this, yeah, this is already the resolution. We saw some very fancy tricks here in S-Slide about this field control and actually don't even understand what's happening. I don't explain it, try to find it out by looking at the sample, but what I wanted to share is the following. Wouldn't it be nice if we could tell, hey, booking fee should be read-only on the UI when status code is not open anymore. So if it is approved or cancelled, then you should not modify a travel booking. And this is exactly the intent that we want to capture. And what you see here is read-only is so far only a Boolean flag, a static Boolean flag. And now you can add, we will be able in future to add expressions. And this is the CXL, the core expression language within CDS. And the compiler supports it at different places, like here. And by the way, also like here. This is exactly the point where I wanted to come to. Yeah, here, for example, this one is a Fiori variant of this expression. You know, it says, hey, this is an expression. I'm sorry. It's travel status code should not equal X. And we can just write it that way, including code completion by the editor again. Travel status code should not equal A. And as we defined code as an enum, we should be able to use the symbols and therefore avoid open typos. So this is a valid association. Stefan, I still want this $self to be, to get, and Christoph to go away, but that's fine. This is another best practice, by the way, and bad practice. Good enough is a bad practice. Good enough is not good enough is my best practice. And whenever you feel something could be better than it is today, let us know, please. Don't just accept it. That is how we build CAP, by the way. And this side effect annotation should also go away, because that can be deduced by that. Now, back to this one. This is an expression by a future member of the Munich team, Martin. What you see here is this is a property. This is an association pointing to an entity, having an association, pointing to an entity, having an association, having an element. And it goes like that. And you know what this means is each dot in there is a join. And if you don't do the joins and do it programmatically, which is what you would have done before having this expression support, what you would do is you would read the data into memory to do the check. And you would read a lot of related data from a certain entity, from a certain field even. And that is a bad idea. The CAP best practice is, no, we push down execution to where the data is in the database. So what we do is we take these expressions, translate it to SQL expressions, and send queries to the database in a single query in the most optimal way. You can learn this also in the respective session today. Find it, and it's worth it. So we translate it to the database, means we serve it in the server, we enable this, and whenever field control happens, you need to remember, yes, we translate it to the UI, so it's disabled on the UI, but you also need to ensure that your kind users, also called attackers, don't bypass the UI, right? So we have to enforce it on the server, and this is what we do out of the box for you. Now, another thing is exactly this status thing. We see a lot, and we looked at application, and we saw a lot of code, really a lot of code is just concerned with when this button is pressed, then put the status to accepted, like travel is open, and then it can be rejected or cancelled and approved. And the approved button should only be displayed when it is open, not when it is cancelled already, etc., etc. There's a lot of boilerplate code. And the right-hand side here shows what Simon Engel and colleagues will show you, and Vitaly in another one. I have to speed up. Yeah, so I told it, and it will all do that. Now, very quickly now, data federation. So I completely ran out of time. Data federation. We took S-Flight and put it into two microservices. One microservice should be a data producer, and you might have heard about data products and business data cloud. And CAP can be a producer in that as well as a consumer. Actually, we are the front runners. Now, this microservice has this master data only of the flights, and we want to maintain this in a Fiori UI as usual, having a service exposing access to these data entities. Now, what do you need to do to connect it to business data cloud and service as a data product? As usual, nothing special. You just define another service. Services depict the interfaces, inbound and outbound, and you just declare you want to serve it as a data product as if it was a separate protocol, and you are agnostic to this protocol. Yeah, and when doing so, of course, you can also do projections, as you can do when serving entities to the UI. So here we flatten the connection association in a denormalized way to make it easier for consumers. So this is the producer side. The consuming application is another microservice. It needs to consume this data product. How would you do that? Well, also here, nothing special, just by adding a dependency to that published package of the other side. And in your master data, you just refer to this service that we just saw. And we call it external here for didactical reason. So we use the external flights and want to apply yet another projection telling what we are actually interested in. Not everything, but a certain thing. And we can also do another round of denormalization here, like the icon of airline is used as the flight's icon, and name of the airline is airline, etc. So with that, we are mostly done, basically. And the first thing that always applies, this Calesi principle number 3, it looks as if it were local. You can use it as if it were local, and it is local. It's mocked. So when we start this thing, we will, as you can see here, in a second, this one is actually mocked within the same process, and that application shows us the data from the other side. Very quickly, what we also invested, you may have joined DJ's session on Monday where you saw things like that. We invested in something like CDS export. And what I say here is, let's CDS export everything. It will add a folder called APIs and put a service, a CDS model in where all services are exposed, which includes the travel service and the data product service here. But I can also say I only want a certain service by pattern data, in that case, be exposed, and I want to cleanse all UI data, UI annotations, because I don't need these. Now the service shrinks, which reduces the sizes of the model your consumers have to consume. And what you can do here is you can do E8N information, and you can do add specific data for your consumers for easy mocking test data. So that's this one. Now, yeah, it's still 10 minutes left, right? 5, he says. Okay, so that's a story. A lot of things happen behind the scenes, and again, as if it were local is the key. And you should not have to know. This is a full story. It's actually not only data products, but we can apply that same thing in an automated way, and this is what we are working on. And you see in a session by Mark Becker and colleagues that we can replicate data using OData on demand completely automatically for you, or integrate via HANA Virtual Tables, or link to HANA databases via HANA Virtual Tables, or via synonyms, or really the data cloud, which is the ETL case. That is a picture from an external guy showing all the different data federation strategies, which maps quite nicely to our world here. Data streaming, I don't show the demo that I prepared because, join the session about the databases of Node.js to see what we add in Node.js, Bob and team and Patrice right now, and the same will happen in Java pretty soon. You can just stream data reading from your database like books, and then you just pipe that to the response. Or you can get a stream, like in a put request, really the stream of records, and then just stream that into your database without any materialization. And that's the way how to do these kind of things. Event queues have to be very fast. Think about two applications, microservices, an application calling a service, and you always have the problem of resilience if the right-hand side is down, scalability if you do synchronous calls, and distributed transactions. How to make sure that on both sides everything is stored. Well, the first job is always prefer async integration instead of synchronous, improves resilience because of reliable messaging and scalability, but still you have a flaky last mile and you can have phantom events. So for example, you can send out an event and then later in your transaction something happens and you roll back your transaction, but you told the world about something that never happens. And this is about what we introduced Outbox for 2 years ago, and fast forwarding. The AFC guys, Oliver Clemens, Max Grünfelder, are here and also have a session. They are our best practice. They do CAP the best possible way, and even ways that we even didn't think of. What they did is they generalized the Outbox principle so that we can use it as an inbox and for background tasks as well. And very, very, very quickly, this demo I need to show. I start my bookshop here. Who knows REPL and who uses REPL? You should always use REPL because REPL is your friend. Now, what we can do is we can connect from our REPL to the catalog service running in that remote service here locally on my machine. And I can send requests to that remote service, cats, I call the variable, like read ID title from books. This is queries. I read ID. You see here the request was received and the result is back. Now what happens resilience-wise if the other side is down? Of course it doesn't work. What do? You invest a lot in doing resilience now. Or better not do so, but use our queue technique. What you can do is you get another service, which is, you say it should be the same than the catalog service, but it should be queued. I need to show this. And now you can just send the same request to that service and you see it is received. Of course, you don't see the result because it is done asynchronously. But David, who implemented this first, added this callback technique. You can register an event handler when it is eventually executed. Now doing the same query again. Looks like it's synchronous, but it isn't. It's asynchronous. Now let's shut down the other service and do it again. Well, retry automatically happens. And as soon as it is up again, it works. And just one more. You can also do, and again, it's just what the colleagues did, you can do the same query like here and pass it not to the run operation, with cuts read being a shortcut, but to a schedule variant. And here you can say, and I want this not to happen immediately, but after 3 seconds, and then every 1 second in the Schnapszahlen way. So starts, works, shuts down, retries, up again, works again. Yeah, again, a lot of thanks to the AFC colleagues. Meet the AFC colleagues. They have much more. We are just now standardizing it. They do a cron-tab scheduling. They do correlated things. So talk to Max Grünfelder and Oliver Clemens and meet them here. Yeah. Business logic extensibility. Nick Josipovic has a session and a hands-on. Watch it. Tools evolution. This is about the extensibility here, and I'm running out of time. I just wanted to show this slide here. Left-hand side shows I managed to deploy to the cloud. My bookshop was first time deployed to the cloud. The tools guys did this for me. And this is, as you might see, a cappuccino. Watch cappuccino in the agenda and visit it. And that's it. Sorry for running out of time. And have a nice recap, everybody. See you.